So, any clues? I've kind of given you guys a little bit of a teaser, something that I witnessed on the drive in this morning. Howard Frankland Bridge, I-275 South, heading in from Hillsborough here to the studio in Pinellas County. So what clues have I given? I'm on the bridge, and cars were going kind of slow, and then cars started going fast, passing this particular vehicle.
Well, then you also said and you don't say this word often to describe your action.
Oh, what did I say?
You said you giggled.
I
You don't strike me as a giggler.
Maybe that wasn't a good word. Maybe I'm not quite a giggler.
You had a good chuckle.
A
There you
giggler.
go, a chuckle.
All right, so something that was moderately funny, moving at a ridiculously slow speed on the interstate over a bridge.
Well, I didn't say ridiculously slow. You're adding words to my
Well, for vehicles to slow down around it, was it stationary or was it moving? We need more details, man.
I got a guess.
Any idea? All right, Froggy, you think you have a guess? Go ahead.
I think it was a car that sort of maybe looked like a cop car, and it had like one of those stupid lights on, a spotlight, and people were like, oh my God, is that a cop? And then they realized it wasn't. And everybody went past them.
You are barking up the right tree.
Call me a dog?
What?
Call me a barking dog?
I said you're barking up the right tree.
Thank you. Nice giggle.
That made me giggle.
Who just giggled?
That's my giggle.
Fester.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Not
the
me.
Pillsbury
Yeah.
Doughboy.
Sounds like a
I
woman.
look
It's
like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Today you do.
Hey, Roxanne, go ahead and take your finger and poke Fester's
God,
stomach.
you might lose it.
Don't do it. You're going to fall in love. That's how it
Go
starts. It's so stupid.
That was
the first time.
Roxanne poking Fester in
The
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 tummy.
stomach,
The
just
belly.
just like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
is
So
one.
what the hell happened on the Howard Frankland Bridge? I'm driving in this morning, and there was a Ford Explorer, which a lot of police agencies use the Ford Explorer police package versions.
Especially in St. Pete. In St. Pete, they have a lot of Explorers. So
Well-
you're coming over the bridge, you're going towards St. Petersburg.
A lot of TPD has them. There are a lot of the Ford Explorers out there these days. All right. Here's the deal. On the Howard Frankland Bridge, this is a little after 5:30 this morning. I'm heading to the studio, and I'm driving, and I notice that cars are just going very, very slow, much slower than usual. Very tentatively, folks were driving. And then I saw up ahead in the middle lane, there was a Ford Explorer vehicle, and it said police on the back. So there was a Ford Explorer police car. It wasn't unmarked, as Froggy was suggesting, but you were barking up the right tree. So there was a marked Ford Explorer police vehicle, and everyone was just behaving and going slow, going sort of the speed limit. Nobody wanted to pass the police vehicle. Who just snorted?
I don't believe in that.
That was a chortle.
You don't believe in what?
I don't believe in like having to slow. It gives the cop. They're not gonna. Well, MJ, do they care if you pass them, or is that like a thing?
Well, let me tell the story. Hang on a minute.
Sorry.
So you've got the Ford Explorer police car, and everyone is just very tentative in their driving. They're staying behind. They don't want to pass. And then suddenly somebody decides to kind of go a couple of miles faster.
Somebody had to have the guts to go.
Someone did. And then you could see the guy gets next to the police car and then just accelerates pretty quickly and just goes.
And so this evoked a chuckle in you. This is what gets you going in the morning.
Was the cop asleep?
Hold on a bit. No, but then all the other cars started doing it as well. Started passing this vehicle, and then they would all just like almost like floor it. And
It's like
just
coming out of.
everyone, and then
It's like
suddenly,
coming out of the pit lane. You have to go real slow.
Suddenly, all these people are passing this police vehicle. I'm like, what's going on? So the police car it's 60 miles an hour now because they lowered the speed. It was 65 on the Howard Frankland, and they lowered it to 60 because of the construction. Now, I didn't see any construction this morning. When I drove in 5 o'clock hour, I didn't see any construction. They didn't have all the concrete trucks or all the flashing lights on the side. I didn't see the typical off-duty police officer on the side.
Is Sunday the day off for the guys? You know, they start up tonight?
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe, but they weren't there. So all these cars start passing this police car. I'm like, what's going on? First, everyone's going slow. Then somebody has the nerve to kind of pull alongside, and then they take off. Then all these cars do the same. So finally, the police car is doing like maybe 62 in the 60. I'm like, all right, I'm going to see what's going on here. So I roll it up to 65, 66, 67, and I look next to me, and there's the police car, Zephyr Hills Police Department.
There's no jurisdiction.
So what people saw was a Zephyr Hills Police Department car on the Howard Frankland I-275 South, and they're like, oh, man, there's no Zephyr Hills Police Department car that's going to pull me over on I-275 on the Howard Frankland Bridge, and then suddenly everyone's just ripping past this thing.
That's awesome.
So, like,
Ouch, damn it.
So that's why I chuckled. Yes, Rox.
Couldn't he still pull somebody over if he wanted to on I-275?
I believe. Listen, you're accredited as a law enforcement officer in the entire state of Florida, but should we go to phones here? Should we ask?
I mean, it's a very. I wouldn't want to ask other speeders. I want to ask law enforcement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask some schmo driving a donut truck. Hey, could a Zephyr Hills Police Department? Of course, I'm going to ask cops.
All right, the donut truck guy might actually know.
Of course, I'm going to ask cops. I didn't even intend to say donut truck.
I'm the Krispy Kreme delivery guy. I know all the cop rules because they're all my best friends.
That was unintentional, by the way.
Of all the things, MJ.
All right, should we go to phones? I think we should. All right, tell you what. I want to go to phones on this next. How much time do we have here? All right, let me take the break so I don't get far behind here. All right, let's go to phones. 800-990-1047. So, got to take a quick break, and then we'll grab some calls afterward. Yeah, I want to know, any cops listening, what is the story? If you're way out of your jurisdiction, if you're way out of, your city, like Zephyr Hills Police on the Howard Frankland Bridge in St. Pete.
It's probably 50 miles outside of it.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, could that vehicle technically pull you over? All right, so here's the deal. I want to go to phones on this. Before I get to the early chunk of morons in the news, if you're just tuning in and you missed this, I was telling a story last segment about the Howard Frankland Bridge. I'm on the way in. People are going very slow, uncharacteristically slow. I'm like, what's going on here? Everyone's going like the speed limit or less. And I look ahead and I could see the reflective police on the back of an SUV. And it was a Ford Explorer SUV police vehicle. It said police. And then cars started inching up on the police car. And then I noticed that cars are then pulling next to the cop car and then just taking off. Just hitting the accelerator. Then before you know it, all the cars are passing this police vehicle. I'm like, what's going on here? So I decide to also pull next to the vehicle. The car was going maybe 62, 63 miles an hour on the Howard Frankland. Now 60 because it was reduced from 65 because of the construction. So I'm doing that on a 66, 67. And I pull next to the vehicle, and it said Zephyr Hills Police. So everyone on the Howard Frankland this morning in the 5 o'clock hour, they're like, oh, Zephyr Hills Police. They're going to pull me over on the Howard Frankland Bridge in St. Petersburg? Come on. So that's when everyone starts flooring it and starts whizzing past this Zephyr Hills. First of all, what the hell was a Zephyr Hills police vehicle doing on the Howard Frankland Bridge going southbound on 275 crossing into Pinellas County?
It obviously has some business over here. But
I don't know. Maybe fishing on the pier at the Skyway later on today. I don't know.
Taking a company car down to the Skyway.
Here's the question. So who brought this up?
I think we all kind of did at the same time.
We all, have the same question. We'd love to ask for a police officer. If you're a police officer, it doesn't matter, where you work. It doesn't matter what police agency or department that you're with. The question I think we all have is, but somebody raised it. Can the Zephyr Hills police car pull you over.
Oh, maybe it was not when I asked, do police officers actually care if you pass them?
Yeah, I think Froggy might have precipitated the question.
Which I can't imagine they would.
Of course, but that's what's going through my mind, and I think through everyone's mind. So if you're on 275 southbound in Pinellas County, can a Zephyr Hills police officer pull you over? What's the deal on that? If you're driving your police car and you're just way out of your jurisdiction, maybe you're headed to, I don't know, a conference, maybe you're going to pick up a chunk of evidence or something. Who knows?
You gotta pick up evidence.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, what's the story? If you're a cop and you're listening now, fire up our phones. If you want to remain anonymous, if you don't want to mention the police agency that you're with, that's fine. But if you're a police officer, what's the answer to the question? Zephyr Hills cop on the Howard Frankland 275, can they pull over a car? I know they're accredited as law enforcement in the whole state of Florida. All right, here's the number. 800-990-1047. 800-990-1047. So if you're a police officer, if you're on duty, off duty, I don't care if you're retired. What's the answer to our question? Can a way out of jurisdiction police officer in a marked car or whatever, can they pull you over? 800-990-1047. Again, 800-990-1047 if you have the answer. And if you want to remain anonymous and not mention where you're a police officer, that's fine. Yeah, Rox.
I haven't Googled this. I haven't gotten any texts about it, but I think I know the answer.
Oh, okay.
This is just my guess.
All right.
Then it's a guess.
Hold on.
It's a guess. What? I think I know the exact answer, but it's a guess.
I don't know if I want to guess.
This is just my logic.
Hypothesize.
Go ahead.
Hypothesize. Yes, they can pull someone over and ticket them, but then it would be a pain for the police officer to have to drive all the way from Zephyr Hills to potentially face this person in court. So they might just not show up.
That is a good point. That is a very good point. All right, hang on. Andrew's screening calls. Let me grab line 5. Hi, good morning. I do not have a name or location. Actually, I do have. I have a location of Pinellas County, but that's it. Hi, good morning. MJ Morning Show. Welcome.
Morning, MJ. How are you?
All right, do you want to remain anonymous?
I do. Long-time listener, love the show.
Thank you. So you are active duty law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you heard the story. Zephyr Hills police officer going southbound on I-275. All the cars are slow because they see the police vehicle ahead, and he's doing like 62 in the 60, and then cars start going a little faster, and then I see one car pull next to the cop car and then just takes off because obviously he saw Zephyr Hills police on the side. It was like, he's not going to pull me over. Then all the other cars start passing the police car, including me. So what is the deal? Can a Zephyr Hills Police Department car pull you over in Pinellas County?
No, because you got to remember that's a civil infraction.
Just
So
speeding?
he doesn't have jurisdiction.
All right. So if it were criminal, though, like what would be like a criminal infraction where the police officer then could start acting?
So a simple one would be like a DUI. So he's stopping them on good faith at that point where maybe they're driving erratically enough to where now they've become a danger to other drivers on the road. So he's stopping them for good faith. And then he could get another agency there that has jurisdiction to work the DUI.
Gotcha. All right. So he witnesses what he appears to be a danger to other motorists, a drunk driver. So you pull that driver over, and then you bring another agency whose jurisdiction it is, whether it's FHP or sheriff's office, whatever.
Correct. You got it.
Gotcha.
Officer, at any given time.
I have to.
Yeah. Fester has a question.
No.
Hold on. Go, Fester.
At any given time, I usually have an out tail light. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to have one of my lights not functioning, whether it be one of my headlights or one of my taillights.
Your car's barely functioning.
Is that an infraction you would pull somebody over for if you're out of your jurisdiction?
So from my understanding, listening to Fester all these years, Fester's car alone is an endangerment to society.
That is true. That is true. Yes.
Very true.
But again, that would be a civil infraction. So the out of jurisdiction cop is not going to pull you over for a taillight that's out.
Some good police work there, officer.
Hey,
Correct. So to answer Froggy's question, though,
yeah.
it's kind of disrespectful. And as a cop, when you get somebody driving by and you're out of jurisdiction and they're flying by you, it's disrespectful, and you're gritting at the bit, to pull them over, because it is disrespectful when people blow by you.
Right.
Oh, man.
But listen, I saw it this morning, and I pulled next to
All right. So,
you got some on me.
I don't know that I've heard MJ sneeze on the air 3 times in the decades I've known him.
That was a rare on-air sneeze.
Let that one rip.
It just doesn't
Got on
have
my glasses.
I think it went right at Froggy. And listen,
It's all over me.
Yeah, I didn't whiz past the car, but I did pull next to it. And, I was doing 65, 66, 67, whatever it was. So I didn't, but other cars, once they determined that it was a Zephyr Hills police car, they were just flying by. They went back to their typical 85 miles an hour. Hey, officer or deputy, thanks for listening to the MJ Morning Show.
All right, y'all have a great week.
You too. Thanks, man. Hang on. Look at the phones lit up here. Jennifer is in Temple Terrace. Hey, Jennifer, you're on the MJ Morning Show. Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Jennifer. Go ahead.
So I used to work in South St. Pete at a company that had a 6-story building that overlooked a police driver training course
Right.
across 34th Street South. So we saw police cars from all over Central Florida coming and learning how to drive in reckless situations. So it was fun to watch from the top of the building, all these cars zooming around and tearing through cones and everything, but they were all police cars.
So it was almost like a police officer training course, and you said it was in St. Pete?
South St. Pete off of 34th Street South.
Is it still there?
I don't know. I hadn't worked there in years. I
Wow.
work up in Temple Terrace now, but yeah, it was cross-jurisdictional, so there
All
was...
right, so you would see police cars. Do you recall seeing the various stickers and logos? What other police agencies did you see in St. Pete on this little traffic course?
It was Pasco, Hernando County. There were sheriff's officers. There were police officers, Plant City. They were from all over the area.
Gotcha.
Sarasota.
So,
Yep.
Wow.
There used to be, when St. Pete Junior College was a thing before it became St. Pete College, they had a law enforcement training facility. I think it was called the Allstate Center in South St. Pete off of 34th.
Like sponsored by Allstate Insurance?
That was the name of the building,
Really?
or they donated
Gotcha.
the property, but yeah.
Hey, Jennifer, thanks for the call. It's pretty cool. Let me grab one more on this. James is a St. Louis, Missouri listener. Hey, James, you're on the MJ Morning Show. Hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Doing well. Go ahead.
I've been listening to your show since you've been in St. Louis for years now.
Wow.
I'm glad you guys came back. Anyway, this happened in our county where there was a off-duty law enforcement officer. He was new to the policing industry, if you will, and
Yeah, that's what I call it the policing industry.
right.
Go ahead.
He was new to it, and he utilized all of their resources, and I'm assuming legally they can put lights on their personal vehicles. He had emergency lights on his personal vehicle, pulling individuals over on I-270 around the outer belt of St. Louis, and it was really upsetting the people, if you will.
Yep.
And they talked to the local Fox 2 News in St. Louis, and it ended up being where it was perfectly legal for an off-duty officer to pull over anyone in any vehicle that he so choose to.
Wow.
But the St. Louis County police chief, if you will, made a statement on the matter with Fox 2, saying that it is perfectly legal to do, but is a practice that they don't do because of it draws too much negative attention to them. it's something that they all can do, but they all choose
Right.
not.
I don't know if that's like Missouri law. I don't know if that's legal in Florida for off-duty cops just to put like police lights in their.
Yeah, I mean, if you're behind me in a Toyota Camry with a little bulb light on top of your hood, I'm not pulling over.
Off-duty cop is just pulling people over in his Hyundai Elantra. I don't know. Hey, thanks for the call, James. I appreciate you being a fan for all these years. Have a great week.